Drew, you've been looking for peak efficiency out of this offense. I know you'll say there's some plays left, but how close are you guys to being at that level that you want to be?
Yeah. I mean, listen, that was a pretty efficient game on Monday night, right? I felt like we were hitting on all cylinders, both in the run game and the pass game. Of course, there's still some meat left on the bone, so to speak. And listen, every game's a little different, right? You know, you don't know what opportunities are gonna be there. You know, you want to try to execute to perfection, and then take advantage of those opportunities when they do arise. But at the end of the day, I think you want to look at your run game and say, hey, you know, we're getting a hat on a hat, or, you know, when we're not, you know, we're putting our backs in favorable positions to get extra yardage. In the pass game, we're efficient. We're taking what they give us. Hey, when we get big play opportunities, you know, we're making the most of them. And then obviously we're staying on the field, we're sustaining drives, and we're scoring points.
You know, I'm sorry if this is a repeat, but have you ever had a game where you only had one incompletion?
I think my first JV game in high school, I was 9 of 10. So there was one incompletion.
Were you kind of surprised you didn't have a perfect passer rating just because of all the metrics that go in behind
It's
that?
funny. I actually did notice that, but you know, it's an inexact science, right?
Yeah.
But listen, I'm not worried about what the passer rating was. I'm just glad we got the win, and I felt like we improved as a team.
You didn't feel like that was, and I know you said that, but you didn't feel like it was your perfect game, but it felt pretty much that was close to it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you talking about for us offensively? I mean, listen, I think for the first 3 quarters, it was really good. It was really efficient. You know, would have liked to have probably managed the clock a little better at the end of the half, and I'll take full responsibility for that. You know, obviously we thought we had a touchdown. You know, they got called back, and then all of a sudden we're left with 7 seconds, which but we had 2 timeouts. You know, and so you never want to have timeouts in your pocket with no time left in that type of situation. You know, you don't want to give the other team a bunch of time to go on a 2-minute drive of their own. But in hindsight, you know, and again, that's on me. I should have called a timeout, maybe the play before, just in the event that something like that happens, where you get a penalty or you get the PI, and now it's okay. We're 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 13, whatever it was. But now you have enough time where you can run a play, call a timeout, and then maybe you get 2 more shots at the end zone or 1 more shot at the end zone. So there's that, and then, you know, first drive of the game ended up in a field goal. Would have been nice to, you know, sustain that somehow, especially after the block punt. We had some momentum. But other than that, I mean, listen, it's hard to complain about a bunch, but you're going to try to find the things that you know you can improve upon.
Drew, along the offensive line, it's not supposed to look as easy as this team seems to make it look when it comes to injuries and plugging guys in. How does this team make that transition so smooth year after year?
Well, it's a credit to getting the right type of guys, you know, and guys that have the ability to step in and, you know, play multiple positions. You know, I mean, we've been in that situation too, where, listen, Andrus Pete, you know, throughout his career, you know, now he's our staple at left guard, but man, he's had to bounce out and play left tackle, you know, on a bunch of occasions, right? I think Ramczyk started out playing left tackle because Teron was down his rookie year, and then he bounced over to right guard when Streif got hurt. And so, you know, you just keep having those guys. Nick Easton, obviously, has been a guy who's plugged in and done a great job. Will Clapp, you know, Omame. I mean, you know, you name it, all these guys, it's kind of like, hey, wherever I'm needed, you know, jump in and do that. So the versatility, you know, the ability to play multiple positions on the offensive line, obviously that's a skill, right? I mean, that's a trait that if a guy has, that becomes very valuable, because you just never know how it's going to shake out throughout the course of a game. But, man, those guys have been able to plug and play and do a great job.
Speaking of, you've seen you and Sean see the offense in a similar way now after spending so much time together. But over the last decade and a half, has there been something that's consistently come up that you maybe disagreed about pretty often, or required a little bit more back and forth?
No, you know, it's funny. I mean, of course, we have those conversations where he's like, you know, I see it playing out like this. And maybe, you know, I say, well, I think the guy plays it more like this, or I think we're more apt to get this coverage or this look or this leverage. And he's like, trust me, you know, I'm going to call, hey, and if it's not, you know, then, but you know what that does is it allows us then to maybe work on a concept to where it fulfills the vision that we both have. Whereas he may think, man, the ball's going to this guy, I guarantee it. And I say, well, if they don't give us that look, then I'd rather have this route as a compliment that I can get to in the event that we don't get, that look. And so that's how you tweak, right? And that's how you get to get the play exactly the way we both will feel comfortable about it and know that, man, we're going to get something positive out of this.
How would you say the way you guys communicate has changed over that time?
You know what? I'd say we've always had great communication throughout the week. We're constantly talking through concepts. What are you seeing? What am I seeing? He may install a play that I say, hey, coach, explain the vision to me, and he'll explain it. And I'll say, okay, I got it, So that happens all the time. And that's happened ever since I got here. We talk so much about situations, and he said, hey, when this situation arises, this is what I'm thinking. So that when that situation comes around in a game, I can anticipate what's coming, and that makes me a better player, right? To be able to anticipate what the play caller is calling and why he's calling it, right? But man, I think especially now, 14 years later, like I know the stuff he likes and why he likes it, and he'd say the same thing about me. And so it's just that ability to kind of read each other's minds at times that makes us effective.
You mentioned the offensive line. The Pro Bowl selections came out last
Yeah.
night. Are you surprised Ramczyk wasn't in there? There always seems like there's some guys who are quote-unquote snubbed.
Listen, I'd make an argument for every one of our guys, but certainly Ryan Ramczyk is, I think over the last 3 years, established himself as one of the best, if not the best, right tackle in the league. And I think usually what you find is, especially as a young player, it takes a few years to kind of, get that respect or become, that name that everyone then recognizes as, oh, he's one of the elite guys, and, I think I've heard Sean even say it that, there's times where young players won't make the Pro Bowl when they deserve to, and then maybe as you get older, you make it when maybe you didn't deserve to, right? Because now all of a sudden everybody knows your names and they just expect, oh, that guy should be in there, right? He's been such a good player for a long time, right? But bottom line is Ramczyk certainly deserves that honor. And he's a Pro Bowler to all of us, and I'd say the same for certainly Larry, Andrus, and all those guys got a certain amount of respect in one way or another, right? Even as an alternate. That's basically saying that there's enough people out there that think that highly of you. So, yeah, those guys are all deserving.
Drew 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. How do you develop trust in receivers as opposed to, a lot of times you get in situations where you'll see over the course of a season or a career, you kind of force it to a guy as opposed to just throwing it to whoever the open guy is?
Listen, every play has its progression. Every play has, its rhyme or reason, depending on coverage, depending on matchup, as to, where you're going and why. And, I think when we can walk away from games and look at the stat sheet and be like, man, 10 different guys caught passes or 4 different guys caught touchdowns. Imagine the problem that presents for a defense, right? Where it's like, well, man, we can't just key on one guy or 2 guys even. They've got these other guys that when the matchup is there, they're gonna try to exploit it. And I think that keeps all of our guys really in tune as well, knowing that, man, on any play, regardless of maybe the way it played out in practice or the way that it even plays out when you're installing the play, this play could go to me, right? This opportunity could be mine. And that gets everybody very in tune and very focused from play to play, knowing that it could be their opportunity.
Drew, is it interesting to put on the film and see Kenny Vaccaro making plays
Yeah.
for that defense?
Listen, he's doing great. Listen, he was a great player for us. He brought a physical, brand of play and a mentality. And, I appreciate those 5 years with Kenny and happy for the success he's having.
I know he got used in so many different ways each year here. How does it cause problems?
He's a very versatile player. You go back to his college days, and he was basically playing like this nickel, strong safety hybrid. He's obviously a very physical player in the run, but he's got good cover skills as well. So he can cover tight ends, backs. He's a great pressure player. You see him play in the middle of the field. He's got good instincts. So he's just a good football player all the way around.
And I apologize if you got asked this at the beginning, but having time to have that performance from the other night soak in, did it even surprise you, the efficiency of it, I guess?
typically throughout the course of a game, you're going to have 3 or 4 throwaways, right? You're going to have maybe a spike or two. You're going to have, a couple plays where, man, they just make a great play, or, man, you just missed the guy, right? And so, that results in 7, 8, 9 incompletions a game, right, just based on that, right? And that's if everything else goes really, really well. So the fact that there was only one, man, credit it to great protection, so great O-line play, guys making great catches. There's some great catches made the other night, and just, being in rhythm, right? But, I mean, I say this all the time, and I truly believe it. I don't see why the ball should touch the ground that often. I mean, whether it's in practice or just goofing around, throwing my kids the ball when they're bouncing on the trampoline, or out wherever, during a game. I think that's just part of the way that we practice, and it's our mentality. And I mean, I try to visualize that, but also understanding that you're never going to be perfect, right? But you just try to put yourself and everyone around you in the best position to succeed, right? And so that's making great decisions, getting the ball out on time, putting it to where our guys can catch it and the other guys can't. And I think good things happen when you do that.
It's about as good as a game as you've ever had. Was there any time during the thumb surgery, the recovery, where you would have thought you were 2 months away from one of the best performances of your career?
I mean, listen, I'd be lying to you back when the thumb injury happened, because, I mean, think about it. Like, talk about a guy's throwing hand, and your thumb is pretty darn important, right? And, man, if I can't grip it, or if I can't, get the same range of motion, or the same strength, then that's a problem, So, yeah, I was worried, Not that I would never get it back, but it's like, man, how long is this going to take? And, is there going to be that anxiety when I get back? And, are there going to be those weeks where you have it on one throw, but then you don't have it on another, because you lack the consistency? I mean, but I'm just very thankful. I'm very grateful that it's played out the way that it did. It was a great surgery. It was a great rehab. I had a great team that helped me get back. And, I've been able to feel really comfortable, throwing the ball and, doing what I need to do.
Drew, when you first came back, was there any throw or range of throws that you didn't quite have it on?
Well, yeah, and that was, listen, they were, when they take the timelines like 8 weeks, right?
Push that to like 5, right?
Yeah. So, of course, at 4 weeks, when I'm telling myself I should be ready and I'm not, that's frustrating, right? But then, I have to have, like, people give me the reality check that, hey, this is supposed to be 8 weeks and you're only at 4, right? So slow your roll, you'll be all right. So at 4 weeks, no, it was not consistent, right? And then at 5 weeks, it was like, it was really kind of like light bulb came on, just like flip the switch, and all of a sudden it's like one day you wake up and it's there, right? When it wasn't the day before. That's really kind of the way it was. And that's when I knew, like, all right, here we go.
That probably drove you more crazy, right? Like, if you don't have it on a throw and it doesn't happen, you can probably accept it. But if you can throw a ball perfectly, one throw and the next throw, it flutters somewhere, that probably.
No, yeah, I wanted consistency, right? I wanted consistency with that ball out of my hand, and I just wanted to not think about it, right? Prior to that, when you start throwing, you're thinking about it every throw, right? But it's a progression. Just like with any injury, right? You have to develop a level of confidence to where you're not thinking about it anymore.
Was this offense playing its best at the right time?
I still think there's more to be desired with some of the things that we're doing. There's definitely room for improvement. You come off a game like that and you say, all right, well, yeah, I mean, it was pretty good all the way around. But each opponent, requires a different game plan, a different kind of mindset, and a different set of keys to victory, so to speak, right? And so it presents its own set of challenges. And so from week to week, we've got to execute the plan and overcome those challenges.
Is it harder, by any chance, playing a lot of teams are closing with division opponents the last 2 weeks? You're playing an out-of-conference opponent that you don't face very often. That's a crucial game for both teams. Is it harder, or is that just kind of overblown?
It would be just as hard if you're playing a divisional opponent or if you're playing somebody that you're just not as familiar with. I mean, bottom line is you gotta come up with a great game plan, and you gotta go out and execute that game plan, right? And it's on the road, and they have a lot to play for, just like we do. So it'd be a tough game.
As a quarterback, to see the resurgence that Ryan Tannehill has had.
Yeah.
Just is
Yeah.
that great to just to see that success and him thriving in the new system and new offense? And
Yeah,
team?
absolutely. I don't know Ryan that well, but I feel like I've seen him on film a bunch just from over the years playing against Miami and then similar opponents and such like that. But listen, I thought he did a great job there, and obviously he's made the most of his opportunities there. He's playing really well.
Can you relate though in terms of to what extent is a change of
Last
scenery,
question,
the
guys.
position of
Yeah.
quarterback specifically,
Yeah.
a chance to reinvent oneself? Did you have any of those thoughts?
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's a fresh start, right? It's a fresh start. It's it's kind of like reestablishing the foundation. But you're also drawing on your experiences as a starting quarterback. I mean, how many games did Ryan Tannehill start prior to arriving in Tennessee? A lot, right? I mean, so he's an experienced veteran quarterback. But yeah, new environment, new system, and yet you're bringing some experience and wisdom along with it. That's a big deal. All right, guys, thanks.